You're standing at the gate, boarding pass in hand. Same airline, same carry-on, same route you've flown for years. Nothing feels different until the gate agent looks at your bag and says, "This is no longer allowed." No email warned you. No announcement explained it. And the rule you followed perfectly last year suddenly doesn't protect you anymore. You look around. Other passengers walk past untouched. You hesitate, just for a second. And that hesitation costs you time, money, and control. So what changed in 2026? And why do airline rules seem to change only when it's too late for you to react? Here's what most travelers don't realize until they're standing at the gate. Airline rules rarely change all at once. In 2026, the biggest shift isn't new rules, it's how and when old rules are enforced. On airline websites, everything still looks familiar. Your carry-on size appears unchanged. Your ticket conditions look the same. Even check-in staff may say nothing. But enforcement has quietly moved downstream. Instead of stopping issues early at booking or check-in, airlines now push decisions to the last controllable moment, the boarding gate. That's where time pressure is highest. Options are lowest, and passengers are most likely to comply without arguing. This isn't random, it's operational. Airlines are under pressure to board faster, reduce overhead, and recover revenue without raising ticket prices. The result is a system where rules stay vague on paper, but become strict in practice, selectively, and without warning. So if nothing officially changed, why are more travelers being caught off guard than ever before? For years, you were taught a simple rule. If your bag fits the size limits, it's allowed. In 2026, that assumption quietly stopped protecting you. Your carry-on can still meet the official dimensions and still be stopped at the gate. Not because the rule changed on paper, but because the definition of allowed became conditional. Airlines now treat carry-on permission as flexible, not fixed. It depends on factors you're never told about. How full the flight is, how fast boarding needs to move, whether overhead bins are already under pressure. At check-in, your bag may pass without a word. At security, no one cares. But at the gate, suddenly, it's too large, too many items, or needs to be checked. You didn't break a rule. The rule simply stopped being universal. And the most dangerous part? You only discover this when you have no time, no leverage, and no alternatives left. So why does this happen to some passengers and not others? In the past, gate agents mainly checked tickets and managed boarding order. In 2026, their role quietly expanded. Gate agents are now the final enforcement point for multiple airline policies, baggage limits, boarding flow, seat issues, and last-minute fees. And unlike automated systems, human enforcement is selective by nature. This doesn't mean agents are unfair. It means they're under pressure. Boarding time is tracked, delays are logged, cabin space shortages reflect back on the gate. So enforcement shifts toward passengers who appear least likely to push back. Those who hesitate, those who ask for explanations, those who move more slowly. And very often, older travelers who don't rush or argue. You might notice something unsettling. Two passengers with nearly identical bags. One walks on, the other is stopped. The difference isn't the bag, it's how quickly compliance is expected. And once the decision is made at the gate, there's rarely an appeal. The plane is boarding, the line is moving, and silence becomes the fastest outcome. So what happens when this selective enforcement becomes routine? By 2026, airlines no longer rely on announcements to change behavior, they rely on silence. When a rule changes in a way that benefits passengers, it's advertised loudly. When a change benefits operations or revenue, it's often implemented quietly, without emails, alerts, or clear explanations. You're expected to just know. Airlines update internal manuals. They adjust gate procedures. They revise what staff are trained to enforce. But passengers, they're left with outdated assumptions. This creates a dangerous gap between what you believe the rules are and how they're actually applied. And that gap only becomes visible when you're already under pressure. Standing at the gate, boarding group announced, people watching. You might ask, when did this change? The uncomfortable truth is, it may have changed months ago, just not in a place you were meant to see. Because if a rule can be enforced without discussion, it doesn't need your understanding. It only needs your compliance. So, how does this silent system affect travelers who don't know how it works? By now, a clear divide has formed at the airport, even if you've never noticed it. On one side are travelers who understand how the system behaves, not just what the rules say. They move decisively. They answer briefly. They don't invite conversation at the gate. On the other side are travelers who do everything by the book. They read the policies. They arrive early. They assume fairness. And in 2026, those travelers are often the ones who pay more. Not because they're wrong, but because hesitation is now treated as friction. A pause becomes a signal. A question becomes resistance. And resistance slows boarding. The consequences aren't dramatic. They're quiet. A surprise gate check fee. A carry-on taken just this once. A missed overhead bin that forces last-minute decisions. The real cost isn't just money. It's the feeling that the rules moved, and you were never told. So, what can you actually do to protect yourself inside this system? The goal in 2026 isn't to argue airline rules. It's to avoid becoming a decision point. When enforcement happens at the gate, time works against you, so protection starts earlier, and it starts with behavior, not paperwork. First, prepare for gate enforcement, not check-in approval. Assume your bag will be evaluated again, even if it passed twice already. Pack with flexibility, not maximum allowance. Second, when a gate agent says, "This is no longer allowed," resist the instinct to ask for explanations in the moment. Questions slow the process, and slowing the process increases scrutiny. Third, understand that confidence reduces friction. Short responses, decisive movement, no visible hesitation. Looking ahead, this system isn't going away. Airlines are optimizing for speed and cost control. That means fewer announcements, more discretionary enforcement, and more pressure at the gate. Travelers who adapt will pass quietly. Those who don't will keep paying without knowing why. So, how do you stay ahead instead of reacting too late? In 2026, airline rules aren't just written policies. They're moments. Moments where hesitation costs money. Moments where silence replaces explanation. You don't need to fly differently. You need to understand when the system decides for you. If this felt familiar, share it with someone who's been caught at the gate without warning. Leave a comment with what surprised you most. And subscribe, because the next rule change won't be announced either.